So, welcome back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. It's NWA Powerr again, the final, I'm assuming final episode of Shockwave. First things first, let's welcome my illustrious co-host who's looking quite confused at this point, Miss Fiona Lockwood. Evening, Fee.
Good evening, my love. Is this episode 5 of
Yep,
Shockwave?
five or
Is it?
six. Mhm.
I can't remember. I didn't
Yep.
watch last week.
Yes, Billy. Billy, she didn't watch last week. I did.
I
Um,
know. I was busy.
you was. What was you doing last week? Come
I
on.
had stuff on last
That
week.
stuff on. You did indeed. Anyway, enough of that. How are you enjoying the sunshine?
It's gone. It's been pissing it down all day today.
Well, they,
Honestly, it's been the best couple of weeks up here. Like, for those of you not in the UK, generally the UK is quite small, but Adam and I actually live probably about a 6, 7 hour drive away from each
we
other, so the
do.
weather can be wildly, wildly different. And I went to work with this vest on. Sorry, I haven't got changed. Okay, my bad. I put on a little like camouflage, well, like an army jacket, but it's quite a
Yeah.
thin one. And with my work today, I had to go out and do deliveries, and I actually ended up putting on a fleece underneath the camel jacket. It was fucking cold and it's raining, so the sun's gone.
Well, no clouds in my sky.
All
Uh,
right, drop it in.
and it's been, to be fair, it was blowing a gale this morning, though. I was like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, let's not talk about weather. We're not here to talk about weather. Now,
Mm-mm.
just before we start, I did say that I would say this before we go in there. Now, I'm going to try and play a video at the end of the show. I can't tell you what the video is, but I'm going to try it. So you guys are going to be the guinea pigs. If this goes wrong, then it goes wrong. But we're going to be.
It's not my fault.
Oh yeah, it is.
No, 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 no. It's got
You know
nothing to
why?
do with me.
I
Nothing
tried
to
it
do
before
with
you
me.
come on and it worked. So it is your fault if this goes wrong. But anyway, before we get there, we need to start talking about Powerr, of course, because that's exactly what we're here to do. It was a quite just a quick overview and synopsis. Very not a tough watch in the sense of wrestling. It was a tough watch because there was obviously a tribute to Jax, which we will get into, but it kind of, it was a very tough piece.
It was a really fun show, but it was very emotional.
Yes, that's a good way. That's certainly a good way of putting it. Let's start. I mean, look, it kicked off. We literally went straight into the action on this
We
week, which
did.
which was
We
rather
did.
nice. Markova took on Hunter Drake. So in the match that Markova lost, she wouldn't be able to challenge for the Women's World Championship ever again.
Only against Kenzie, though.
Only against Kenzie, of course.
Yeah.
Obviously, now at ringside, we had two people recovering from injury. We had Brian Idol on the side of Markova's looks at kill, and we had Kylie Page as part of the Page Sisters and KFW and whatnot. I tell you what, though, like eh, these two, I thought these two were they had such great chemistry in that ring for me.
It was fabulous. I loved this match. Like, absolutely loved it. I thought it was so much fun. They took it to each other. Markova is as hard as nails and does not shy away from anything.
No, she doesn't, and they didn't. They
They
certainly didn't
really didn't.
in this.
She
And
chopped the shit out of him at one point, and then he just got his own revenge.
he did. And to be fair though to Hunter, because I've seen matches on the UK scene when it's intergender, and I feel as if sometimes this isn't a sexist comment or so, but I did feel as if like the bloke took it a bit easier
Maybe
on
hold
them.
back,
Yeah,
yeah.
a little bit, but loved it. I mean, that last time we've seen it a few times. I mean, she took on Tim before he was the Baron,
Yeah.
before in that Crockett Cup, I think it was, and she was all over it there with the stiff kicks and whatnot. And I mean, these two basically they left it
They
at the
had a
ring.
banger.
They did. They had a real bang. Again, epitomizing the NWA very, very nicely in terms
Yeah.
of the action, in terms of what you're going to get week in, week out. And although Kylie did make her presence felt early on in this match by pushing Brian into the ring post.
No, 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 no. Did you not see Kylie's tweet? She tripped up and Brian was just
Of
happened to be in her way. And then he was
course.
looking at the ring post, and because she tripped and accidentally pushed him, he fell into the ring post. Well, I mean, that's what her ex account said this afternoon or earlier on today. So obviously that's what happened.
Of course. I mean, Kylie Page wouldn't lie, would she?
No, not at all.
No, no, not at all, not at all. But she did end up pushing into the ring post. However, it was a little bit more Kylie's fault that Hunter Drake did not get the job done in this.
Hmm.
She was the one trying to tell him to finish it or do something, which took his eye off the ball. And something that you don't do when you're facing Markova is take your eye off Markova.
No, that's not a very sensible move in the grand scheme of things.
It wasn't because he got into the beautiful disaster kick, which signaled the end of this.
I love that for a finisher. That's
I mean,
really grown on me for a finisher now. That heel to the face is just, it's very graceful and quite savage at the same time.
it is, and as we said, she doesn't leave. She leaves it in the ring. So if she's going to kick you, she's going to kick you.
I just realized you called it wrong. It's a beautiful destruction.
Disaster, destruction, what?
Similar-ish.
Tomato, tomato. What? I mean, come on. Look,
I'm
destruction.
not picking. I'm sorry.
It's because I'm blaming you for the video if it goes
I'm
wrong.
just more scared that Markova will come on and shout at you. I'm trying to have your back here.
Yeah. I might get the beautiful destruction done to me, which is I don't really fancy that. So, but Markova does indeed pick up that victory, and she will move on. She's not the number one contender yet, but we know there's something
She'll get a
coming.
shot. Yeah, absolutely.
He'll get her number one contender shot in a little, I suppose, soon on Power, for want of a better phrase. At some point on Power, she will get that opportunity. And then we kind of, we move on to the very difficult part of the show, which, was the tribute to Jackson and Billy. He kind of, he was very somber, obviously, when he was talking, as rightfully he would be. I mean, now bearing
It
in
was
mind
still
this.
very raw. It hadn't been that long because this was recorded in early January, remember? And Jack's only passed away at Christmas. So
Literally, I was literally about to say that. That was, not long after Jax had
I
passed
think it was the
away.
first time they were all together again since.
Yeah, it was. I believe it was anyway. And he was saying that that Jax would have wanted them to perform and put on the best show because and Jax epitomized the NWA and he loved the NWA, which he did. This,
He did. I thought it was a lovely, lovely tribute, actually. He said
yeah,
some really nice words.
he did. He did.
Really nice words. And obviously the 10 bell salute, regardless of who it's for, it's always an emotional thing.
It always gets you in the feelies, doesn't it?
It does.
For want of a better phrase, and it is a touching tribute. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I wouldn't say send off, but that's probably the wrong word. But you get everyone gets the drift when we
Yeah.
say. But then, of course, what better way to bring it back than the Baron was on very much.
Yeah.
The Baron
Yeah.
without Jax. He was taking on Pretty Boy Smooth. Now he joined. So Pretty Boy Smooth is Exodus Pro Wrestling, for those of you that don't know, and that particular territory is fronted up by EC3, and he was there with his shades and his
And his
shirt.
goons.
And I was going to say I called them the X6. Some of the X6. I'm not sure if they were all there. Couldn't quite remember. But this was quite a short match because it's going to change in a minute. But the early part of this, the early slash late part of this singles match, it was powerful though, wasn't it, with those two in
It
there?
was. And I think it would be fair also to notice that obviously when Baron came out, this was his first match without his tag team partner. Um, we just seen the tribute to
Yep.
Jax. He was visibly emotional. Um, I think it must have been a very, very tough situation for him to walk out and deal with.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being in his shoes and having to go out and fight and wrestle and then seeing the size of Pretty Boy Smooth. Now, Baron is not short. He's like 6'3", 6'4", maybe.
Yep.
Pretty Boy Smooth is a fair bit taller than that. He's a big lad.
He is around 6'7", 6'8", I think. Pretty Boy
Yeah,
Smooth, maybe taller than
he's
that.
huge.
They did. He did try to claw early on, which was blocked. But then
Great
he
collar and elbow tie up at the start. Love that. Proper old school. Just go for it. I love a lock up like that.
as I said, there was quite some big power moves as well in this between the two. You know, obviously, as you said, Baron being 6'4", 6'5", Pretty Boy Smooth being 6'8" onwards. You know, they were gonna hit and hit hard, which they
Yeah.
certainly did. But it didn't take long for it to descend into some form of chaos.
Well, of
Um,
course not, because EC3s and the Goons are there. So
indeed,
EC3 and the Goons, there's a band name if you ever heard one.
there you go, EC3. Fee has done it for you. You can create a band. Now, NWA has done a lot of music. We've seen Trevor Murdoch and Daisy Kill and Talos. Now we've got EC3 and the Goons.
Oh, you forgot about the Country Gentleman as well.
Of
The by
course,
the book.
they have to do it by the book, of course. But yeah, there you go. EC3, as you're no longer the champ, you can bring a band out.
Oh, I'm not even going to tell you what I was thinking there because I'll get shot, so never mind.
Well, if there's any
No,
guns.
it's not bad, but I was just thinking more EC3 and the Goons, and then I've got visions of the Goons in the background with like, I don't know, like Sister Sledge, Pointer Sister style dresses on in the back and just shooping in the background
What you
with
going
their
to say
face
there?
masks on so we don't know who they are.
I was going to say, I thought you was going to say there's going to have the gags masks on.
No, no, no,
With the
no,
zip on the
no.
tongue. No, okay. Anyway, so as that descended into chaos, out come Bam Bam Malone, who I've never seen before in my life.
Yeah. Can I?
Yes,
But at this point, the ref's already called the bell by this point
has.
because
Yeah,
obviously there's outside interference. And the ref was like, nah, not having any of this. Ring the bell.
yes,
Done.
did. Referee did do that. So we said out come Bam Bam Malone, who I'd never
Ah, he's
seen.
so good. If you don't know Bam Bam Balone, if you look for him on YouTube, he's all over Texas wrestling, all over the kind of South. I've seen him a couple of times. Such a talented guy. One of the NWA TSW boys. Definitely worth checking out. Just thought I'd get that in there.
There you go. So go and check him out on the YouTube and check us out as well. HTT Bubble, by the way, while you're there. And so anyway, then all of a sudden, EC3 decides to take off one of the masks of the E6 to reveal Brandon Beretta, if I'm not mistaken, that was his name. And then Billy says, "Well, there's two here. We've got the Baron and
We
Bam
said
Bam.
there was going to be a match. Let there be a
He
match.
didn't want it to end the way that it did. So Brandon Beretta teamed with Pretty Boy Smooth to take on Bam Bam Malone and the Baron. And we did finally see the claw in this.
Not after a bit of a kicking for poor Bam Bam. He
Yes.
did take a bit of a beating, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Bam Bam was pretty much him hitting the ring every 2 seconds because
Yeah.
he was getting annihilated for a bit in there. Did finally make the hot. It was a hot tag to the Baron on this. As I said, the Claw and Brandon Beretta. It was over. But you made an interesting point when we was talking that the first thing the Baron did was look behind him when he had the claw on. Because obviously, when you know when the claw comes on, it doesn't come off.
Yeah.
And Jax was the one. He had the globe, and he had the cloak, and all of that stuff.
The cloak and the towel and everything.
And it was interesting because Bam Bam was trying to pull the Baron off, and the Baron just instantly turned. I'm assuming was thinking Jax was going to be there.
Yeah. But again, before we got to that point, Pretty Boy Smooth was trying to get in and rescue Beretta,
Mm.
and EC3 was holding him back,
He was.
protecting his champ.
Well, he was, yeah. I mean, Pretty Boy Smooth is the Exodus Pro Wrestling champion. That's
Protecting his champion, and but you could see Pretty Boy Smooth was desperate to get in there. But do you really want to be in there on the end of that clock? Because when that locks in, it's game over.
it is. It certainly is. And I mean, EC3 didn't look too happy, but he did usher him away
Yeah,
from the arena.
but Baron had that claw in for a good while,
He
and
did.
again, you could see the emotion pouring out of Baron.
He did.
Like, yeah,
Got his hands on the globe, though.
he did, and that seemed to bring him back round again.
He was back round again, thankfully, and the Baron did let go, and they pick up a victory,
They
which is
did
very nice.
indeed, which is
Which is
cool.
it is
I hope we
very
see
nice.
more of Bam Bam in NWA, basically. I think obviously with the whole TSW territory, I think I would hope we will see more of him in action because honestly, he's so good.
Yeah, he was really good. I'd like to see him in a singles match somewhere down the singles match. I think somewhere down the line. Or I mean, maybe he could team the Baron in the Crockett Cup. Who knows? I mean, that is coming up
Coming up
very, very
soon.
soon. And by the way, now a bit of breaking news. Not to say breaking news. It broke last week about the Crockett Cup. Alongside Natalia Neidhart wrestling, we are going to get. Well, they're going to get the fans in attendance. They're going to get a special autograph appearance by Gal Kim.
Oh, I love her so much. I've had the pleasure of working with her before, and she is just the nicest human being, honestly. So good.
But again, it goes to show the NWA in its getting Gal Kim on board
Yep.
as well as Natalia, which is
No, that's
incredible,
exciting. I'm
really.
pleased for the fans. I'm excited for the fans going.
But I would say to that, in terms of that as well,
I've lost the sound on you there.
are the tickets limited in the Crockett
Oh,
Cup?
okay. You disappeared on me there. Sorry.
Sorry, I was trying to plug my microphone in, but I just think it's going to do no good, so I'll stick it there. The tickets, I think now, sorry, are limited for the Crockett Cup. I think they're getting
Oh,
limited.
that's exciting. Okay.
Great news for the NWA again
I'd
as well.
love to get to that arena one day, whether it's for NWA or another show. I have not been to Philly. I have not been to the ECW. I nearly said EC3. I have not been to the 2300 arena. I just want a picture at the wall. That would be really cool with the mural on it, with the ECW and the dates.
Yeah, that would be really, really good. I'd love to go there. Again, there's a lot of nostalgia there as well, with, as you said, the ECW, and who knows, maybe an appearance or two again, like last time. They had the Blue Meanie, didn't they? The last time they was at the
Yeah,
2300.
they did.
So we will see. Well, I mean, this week was weird though, because we got a little preview of the first kind of the opening stages of the Jax Day Memorial tournament as well. They played a little bit of that there, but we didn't get no clubhouse this week. There
I
was
know.
no
I think
Southern
obviously
City.
with the added tribute for Jackson, that's fair
Yeah,
enough, I think. I
yeah,
would
it was
rather, to be fair, I would rather have seen the tribute to Jax. Not that I don't like the clubhouse stuff, but I do
yeah,
think it was very appropriate that we saw that. So
definitely, definitely, definitely. Because then obviously the rest of the feuds were what we've seen over the last few weeks. We're finishing up because
yeah,
what we're going to get to now is obviously the NWA World Heavyweight Championship match. Now, so Aaron Stevens, for those of you that, again, I've repeated myself nearly 4 weeks now, but he signed a new lucrative contract with the NWA on the basis that he was going to get a World Heavyweight Championship opportunity, which this was meant to be it.
was indeed.
However, he comes out with blunt force trauma. Both Carnage and Damage were at ringside. Latimer comes in the ring, and we then find out that it isn't going to be Aaron Stevens that's going to go in. It was going to be Carnage from blunt force trauma that gets the opportunity to go against Latimer. Um, I love this, by the way. I thought this was
This was fun. You knew this was going to be good when it kicks off and the ref ejects Aaron and Damage from ringside because they don't have their management licenses.
I love that. Oh, and I love the point, just going back to the first match, that when Billy said that because they were recovering from injury, that Kylie and Brian were allowed at ringside for that particular match. But yes, didn't have the management license for this particular match. Did Aaron, nor did Aaron or Damage. Tell you what, though, and again, we mention this quite a bit when we see tag teams in the NWA, and we then kind of see them individually. Carnage in a one-on-one, he is very, again, you don't see him enough really in one. You do see him in the ring, obviously, but he tags in and out quite a bit.
Yeah.
One-on-one in the ring, he was great. I
He is.
really,
He's a big lad.
oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, Latimer ain't exactly a chipmunk, is he? In terms of his,
No.
he's a big old lad as well. I mean, they were,
And the thing is, for a fair chunk of this match, Carnage was best in Tom.
He was, and to be fair to, I mean, one of the other things on the end, boy, this was a long match. When the match started, I was like, wow, we've got some time like to
Yeah.
go.
I know
On
because I was like, oh, there'll be another match. And then I was like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be. I kind of alluded to. I thought maybe the clubhouse or something was going to come back at the end or something along
I
those
can't
lines.
remember if they put a time limit on this one. I don't think they had.
I
I
don't
know
know.
NWA quite often put time limits on their matches, whether it's 6:05 or 15, 20 minutes or whatever, but I don't think they mentioned it at the start.
They no, not that I can remember. They didn't at all. But we mentioned that Aaron got kicked out. It didn't take him long though to come back.
Of course it didn't.
I
Where
mean, this
there's
is
a
that.
will, there's a way.
And there's at one point, Carnage hits the trademark drop kick to, well, we're not saying to end the match, but he hits that trademark drop kick, which normally signals the end.
It's normally game
Unfortunately,
over, absolutely.
and unfortunately, knocks Latimer out of the ring. So he cannot get the count. Well, he can't get the free count. He ended up bringing him back into the ring to try and get the free count, but got a very close near fall, shall we
He
say,
did indeed. He did
in
indeed.
this. But Aaron, being Aaron, because we couldn't keep him out of the ring for too long. He gets involved again, which
That
signals
pesky loaded glove.
was back. It was back. However, it didn't do any of them any good because at that one point, then Latimer moves out the way of the drop kick, then throws him into. I just remembered, sorry, it's a sign that sign guy had at the show saying about hemorrhoids. I like Aaron Stevens.
I love him so much, honestly. I met him in Texas at TSW. He's
Good
brilliant.
old, good old Rick. Anyway, sorry, going back to what I was saying is Latimer moves out the way of the drop kick. He then throws Carnage into Aaron, who's on the outside of the ring.
Oops.
Yeah, oops. Yeah, sorry about that. Not. And then hits, and I've got the finisher written down now, the brighter side of suffering.
That's a high
Boom!
five for you.
Hits it, hits the brighter side of suffering, gets the one, the two, and the three, and retains his championship.
It
Um,
ended very abruptly after that. I don't know if it was just my feed or whatever, but it was
no,
literally like pin and still, and then it was like, oh, that'll be the end then. There was no
yeah,
credits, no nothing.
it literally was. Yeah, it was the end straight away. Same with my feed on this. Um, my only sign of sort of it's not a criticism, but it's sort of observation really was throughout the whole of Aaron's promos, you saw Sam Stackhouse and Smalls, and they never really kind of told us what point they had, unless there's more to come. I don't know,
I'm
but
presuming there probably is,
yeah, I
but
mean,
I don't know.
no, I don't.
Was this now? I know there was a show where there had been storms and some people couldn't travel due to bad weather. And I think something makes me think it was a Texas show. So it
Mhm.
may well have been this one where travel had been disrupted and people hadn't made it, and that's
Yeah.
potential. But I remember there being something about that.
Yeah, it could well have been that actually. You may be right. Pretty sure. Yeah, no, yeah. I think we're right. Actually, I think I remember talking to you about this. Actually,
Because I
there.
remember speaking to someone on the roster saying that certain people weren't able to make the show, and I think
Yes,
it was due to weather.
it was. Yeah, you're absolutely right. They didn't have some storms or some wind or something along those lines.
Yeah, and the flights were all delayed and
The
cancelled and
flights were
things
all
like
messed
that.
up, weren't they? Yes, of course. That's exactly what it was. Anyway, Latimer retains. Maybe it's not over. Maybe we're going to see some more, as I said, because we need to kind of understand why Sam Stackhouse and Eric Smalls was in Aaron's fictional mind. Maybe I don't know if
I
that's
don't
true
know.
or
I
not.
don't know. But a really fun episode,
I
despite
love.
the emotion of it all, because I got teary-eyed watching it,
Yeah.
partly because I thought it was just a really nice tribute for Jack, partly because you could see the
Mm.
well, no, I was going to say anguish, but you could feel the emotion from Baron.
Yeah.
And that kind of that translated, I don't imagine for a second that that was anything other than authentic and true, given the fact that they were friends and that was his tag team partner, but that was almost palpable. You could really feel that.
Yeah,
Um, but it was bookended by a lot of fun. Do you
it
know what I mean?
was.
Well, it
Yeah,
was, yeah, it was
very well
sandwiched in the
balanced.
middle of two really, really good matches.
Exactly that. Yeah, very well balanced, shall
Yeah,
we say? I think that was the word.
yeah, I think that was a wise move to do it that way.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I think so. I think if you'd done it any other way, if you'd ended it that way, maybe a bit too.
Yeah,
If you'd
you all,
started it that way again, maybe
yeah,
you kind of want the crowd to be kind of coming down after a great match, so then you put them back up
yeah.
for the second one instead of having them start on a somber and then yeah. So very well positioned as well.
So if that is the end of Shockwave, what's next? What came after that? I'm really confused. Like, I'm totally like, I've not kept track, to be fair. My personal life's been a bit of a shit show lately, so I'm a wee bit out of the loop with certain things. But what's after that? There has been another taping,
Yeah. Then there was another big
but I
show.
can't remember. Was it maybe are we going to one of the territory shows? Are we? That's really bad. I should know that, but I don't, so apologies. What I will say is, while you're having a wee look at that, if you have not checked out NWA's YouTube channel, for the last 2 weekends, they have been airing what they have called Power Play. The first weekend was the Crockett Cup from 2022,
Hmm.
which is the one I was at, which was incredible, and that the one that the Briscoes won. And they basically aired that on loop for like 24 hours. So I watched the match and then I'd switch it back on again and there'd be another match on. And that was really, really cool. Last weekend, as in just a couple of days ago, Power Play was season one of Power. And oh my God, I'm so sad that you never got to watch it because you
Gutted.
never did see season one of Power.
No.
It was so good to see it rerun. So good to see the original set, see Dave Marquez, love him or hate him, see Jim Cornette and Action
Hey.
with Joe. Kyle was there. You had Nick Aldis and Tim Storm and Ken Anderson and Eli Drake, now known as Ellie Knight. You
Yeah.
had Eddie Kingston. You had, I don't know if I've said James Storm. You had Alison Kay, Marty Bell, Thunder Rosa. Camille had made her. Camille was there, not talking, making her debut. You had Tom Latimer and oh, honestly, just it was so, so good to relive it. I was like, please put this on YouTube permanently. And obviously it's streamed, so they've taken it down. I am so sad that you never got to watch that, Adam. Honestly, you would have loved it.
Damn you, NWA.
Please put it back on. Like, I hope this weekend they'll put season two on. Obviously, there's some other wrestling events happening this weekend.
Is there?
Something wrestle. What is it?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't
That's
know. Something in Vegas is going on. Can't
just
wait. Oh, excited. Um, best weekend ever.
busiest weekend for me
Yeah.
for this.
But yeah, I think they might put season two on this weekend. I don't know. But if you do get a chance to check it out, check it out. And please, NWA, just put it back up again because it was perfect.
Put it back up, please, please, please. I want to see it. Looking at the show, this is according to Cage Match. I will.
Okay.
There was no episodes of. Oh no, there was an NWA Texas TV taping, but the next, from what I can see for NWA, was Hard Times, unless there was like a taping.
You've just given me false hope that we're
Sorry.
catching up.
Sorry. Well, I can't because what they've said is they've said like underneath before they got to Shockwave, they said NWA Power 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then they said Shockwave, and then I'm looking up and I'm looking at you know, the next load of shows. There's no Power unless they add it. Unless they add it, yeah, I don't know. This is
I
it's
wonder they
hard
might have
times.
made power up from across the territories, maybe.
Maybe.
Oh my God, could you imagine if we nearly catch up and they
Well,
put our times on?
it's been long enough. I mean, it's been nearly a month. It'll be over a
But that's
month.
amazing. Like Shockwave was in January, we're in April now. If they're going to put hard times on, which was only a month ago,
Hopefully. I mean, I don't. I mean, look, don't quote me on that. I
please,
mean,
please, please, wrestling gods, sort it out.
Sort it
I'm
out.
still living in hope that we will get a live show soon.
We can only but hope, Fee.
Oh,
We
I am
can.
hoping.
We
I
hope.
am hoping.
Now,
I want to get up at 1 a.m. with snacks, damn it.
yeah, I want to be ordering a pizza at a late, stupid, ridiculous time.
Chicken pakora, some chocolate, some ice cream, some tortillas and dips, and just the good shit that I'm going to do this weekend for that big wrestling show that's on.
Yes, let's get on to this weekend. Look, so anyway, full disclosure, last week I think I mentioned on NWA you was with Mark Mero, so that was a good few days that you had with Mark. This weekend, I believe that because there's this big wrestling show that absolutely nobody knows about, that you're off this weekend, right?
I am off this weekend. I have no shows this weekend, so I will be watching said big wrestling show, aka WrestleMania, on Saturday night with my boy, which is the best thing ever because now he thinks mum's actually okay to hang out with at 16 years old. So we will sit and watch on Saturday night.
What about
I'm
Sunday?
not sure about Sunday. Mainly because I'm supposed to be at work on Monday, but work's a shit show, so who knows whether I'll go in or not.
Well, I'm not in work on Monday. But I am work. So listen to this, right? There's this. By the way, I've just seen a picture. Just really sorry. 30 seconds ago, that it had the 1986 NWA have just posted this. The 1986 Crockett Cup winners, the Road Warriors, and they've got this big picture and stuff. So anyway, as we're getting into Crockett, but
I
anyway,
want to see old Crockett Cups, damn
what
it.
are you doing next weekend? Because you've got shows next weekend, right?
I've got shows next weekend. Yay! Next Friday, Premier British Wrestling are back in Greenock, which is one of my favourite venues. We're at Greenock Town Hall. Our town hall shows, we always knock it out the park, and I'm not being biased. They are always beautiful, big venues, big balconies, always full, always rowdy. Lots going on in that. I have not seen the card for that, but I am super excited for that on Friday. And then on Saturday night, British Championship Wrestling are back in my hometown, just 5 minutes drive up the road, which is marvellous of East Kilbride. Um, can't wait for that. We've got some big matches coming up for that as well. It's going to be really good actually. We haven't had in fact, this is our first BCW show of the year, I think.
Mm.
The venue, my favourite venue in the world. It's a civic hall. We run it with no barriers.
Ooh.
So the action falls out into your lap quite literally on a regular basis. The crowd are always rowdy, it always sells out. The building is owned by the council. It is currently up for sale, and this may well be our last ever show in that building, and we have run there for 20 years.
Wow.
I am going to be so sad if this is the last one. Honestly, it's an atmosphere unlike any other you'll get. You are so close to the action. Ringsideworld.co.uk. Yesterday there was only 28 tickets left, and we're still a week and a half out. So I really would strongly recommend that if you are in the area and you want to come along, that you get your ass over at ringsideworld.co.uk. You can get your PBW tickets there as well.
There you go. You heard it here from Fee, so make sure you do. Okay, so I'm just going to reel off some podcasts that I'm going to be doing, right? So this is, you mentioned how we got these special. So tomorrow being Thursday, of course, I will review Dynamite from this week. Friday, I'm going to be reviewing the TNA Impact and TNA Unbreakable and Progress Wrestling from Las Vegas. Then I'm going to be interviewing Sam. Me and you are going to be interviewing Sam Adonis,
I'm looking forward to that.
right? That's Friday. That's four, five. If you right, I'm saying all that.
Have you got enough time
SmackDown,
for it?
no, SmackDown Saturday, WrestleMania Night One Sunday, alongside. Then I'm going to do the All Elite collaboration like I do every week on the Sunday to talk all things AW. Sorry, that's on the Sunday. Sorry, so we've got SmackDown on Saturday, WrestleMania Night One All Elite collaboration on Sunday, WrestleMania Night Two on Monday, of course. Tuesday, I'm sitting down with a currently injured UK wrestling star called Bart O'Connor. The usual review shows like NWA and everything will be back next week. So Raw and God knows what, the Raw after Mania, of course, for Christ's sake.
Oh, that's always a good one.
So then I've got the NWA again. I've then got AEW Dynamite again. I've got TNA Impact again, SmackDown again, the All Elite stuff again next Sunday. And then to round off the busiest week in my life, I'm interviewing former WWE diva Cherry next Sunday, Sunday the 27th.
Bet you wouldn't have it any other way.
Of course not, Fee.
Maybe
Absolutely.
just a few more hours in the day if you could, but
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a few more as a few days. Right. So, as everybody knows, and everybody you did hear last week from Joe Kazana and Casey Kazana, that sent us a lovely video because we are fast approaching our one. Okay, so there's a lot of people that get confused. It's 1,000 pieces of content. Some people say episodes, some people say content. So it's the same thing. Okay, it's 1,000 pieces of episodes or pieces of content on YouTube in just over 2 years. Yeah, go figure.
you've been a
Um,
busy boy.
I'm being a busy boy, and I'm hoping this works. We've been sent another video from the NWA, so I'd like to try and play it, if I may, Fee. Please hope
Go
this
for it.
works.
I'm intrigued now.
Yeah, I'm hoping this goes through. So let's see. Can you see this yet? Tell me.
Double click to enter full screen mode. I can only see. Oh, here we go. Adam's gone. Oh, it's Danny
Right.
Deals.
Okay, so let's play and see if this works.
Hey, what's the gig? Any deals, double deals, triple D, deal sheet, hanging out the deals house with the crew? We're just here to tell hitting the turnbuckle. Congratulations for hitting 1,000 episodes, which I have no doubt in my mind. The reason they were able to reach 1,000 episodes because they had us on. Remember that? We were on the show. That's right. We were on the show in its infancy. That's the reason they changed 1,000 episodes.
There he is.
Okay, I
Did
could see it.
right,
I could barely hear it,
but you heard
and
it.
the video was very laggy.
It's all your fault. However, that was Danny Dills, and he was congratulating us. And don't
You, Danny, we love you.
I should have had the volume turned up, but it is what it is. But so there you go. Danny Dills, there is a lot more. There has been a few more NWA videos that I've been sent. And maybe there's one or two more coming. We'll see. But yes, thank you, Danny. Thank you to everyone that sent me a video so far. They are being put together, and we're going to be sitting down. Hopefully, you, me, Andy, and Dave will be coming together for a show, and I'll play a lot if I can. I'll try and
We
play them.
don't need to talk. We can just watch the video, and that'll be it.
Good. But we've got things we need to say as well. But nevertheless, Fee, this has been another great show. But as always, shall we do this again next week?
It'd be really funny if I turned around and said no, but no, of course we shall.
We'll see you next week. And if you can bear me, you're going to see a lot more content in the next well, beyond until next week. But yes, you'll see a lot more of me for the rest of this week into next week. You'll see us again next week. Until then, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.